Hey folks, welcome back. Mel here, Mel of the Evanscape. So, once in a while, there is a story that makes the news that makes you go, huh? What? What the heck is going on? And obviously, the story is very timely. I'm curious as to when this actually happened. I mean, it's October, so it's the perfect time to release it to the public, just in time for the month of the occult. But here goes. Tourists return stolen artifacts to Pompeii after suffering curse for 15 years. First of all, I don't really believe in curses, but that's just me. I guess these are the artifacts that she stole from Pompeii. Pompeii, for those who don't know, is that region in Italy where there was that famous volcanic eruption that killed everyone. So here's a story from CNN Travel. A Canadian woman has returned 5 artifacts she took from Pompeii in 2005, saying they have plagued her with bad luck. The woman, identified only as Nicole, sent 2 white mosaic tiles, 2 pieces of amphora vase, and a piece of ceramic wall to the archaeological park of Pompeii, along with a letter explaining her decision. I wanted to have a piece of history that couldn't be bought, wrote the woman, who said she was young and dumb at the time. Since returning to Canada, she said she has suffered 2 bouts of breast cancer, resulting in a double mastectomy. And her family has also been in financial trouble. Oh boy. We can't ever seem to get ahead in life, she wrote, blaming the bad luck on the tiles. I took a piece of history captured in a time with so much negative energy attached to it, she wrote. People died in such a horrible way, and I took tiles related to that kind of destruction. Nearby Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, showering Pompeii with hot rock, hot rock, volcanic ash, and noxious gas and burying its residents. The woman related how she had given another tile to a friend and told her of the decision to send her artifacts back. It would be curious to know if that friend is also suffering a curse or bad luck. She said she doesn't know if the friend will return hers. We are good people, she pleads. I don't want to pass the curse on to my family, my children, or myself anymore, she wrote. Please forgive my careless act that I did years ago. Over the years, around 100 visitors have returned small artifacts like mosaic tiles and pieces of plaster that they stole during a visit to Pompeii. I keep wanting to say Pompeii. According to a spokeswoman for the park, so apparently this Nicole woman is not unique at all. Hundreds of people have all done the same thing. The items were sent back along with letters from the visitors claiming to have derived only bad luck. So apparently she is definitely not alone in believing stealing ancient artifact is bad luck. I wonder where they got that. A selection of letters and return artifacts has been put on display at the Pompeii Antiquarium. She added, noting that while the value of the artifacts was not significant, the letters were interesting from an archaeological perspective. Pompeii is one of the world's most famous historical sites, and archaeologists continue to work on the remains. In February, the famed House of Lovers reopened for the first time in 40 years following a restoration project. House of Lovers. I'm wondering if that's the place where all those couples were kind of found together after the volcano just kind of swept through unexpectedly. So the House of Lovers. Ooh, lovely place. The building is one of the best known attractions at Pompeii, the ancient city buried in 79 AD after nearby Mount Vesuvius erupted. It was shut to visitors in 1980 after suffering damage in an earthquake, but has now reopened as part of the Great Pompeii Project, which launched in 2014 with the aim of safeguarding the ancient city. Who would want to live there? um, yeah, I know. But really, what I want to get to is this idea of curses and ancient treasures or ancient artifacts. Oh, I think this right here. No, it doesn't tell us why it's called the House of Lovers, but I'm guessing you can probably speculate. Oh, oh, this is some gruesome stuff. In January, researchers released a study which showed how the heat from the 79 AD eruption was so extreme it turned one victim's skull into a glass-like substance. Charred wood enabled them to determine that temperatures reached 968 Fahrenheit or 520 Celsius at the site. Yikes. The researchers believe that the extreme heat ignited the person's body fat, vaporized soft tissue, and vitrified the fatty proteins of the brain. Yikes. All right, poor Benny. He thinks everything is a curse. The curse of the mummy, the curse of the ancient things. Where did that come from? Oh boy. It's probably not far off. So, here's what I found according to National Geographic. Curse of the Mummy, 100-year-old folklore and pop culture have perpetuated the myth that opening a mummy's tomb leads to certain death. Movie mummies are known for two things: fabulous riches and nasty curse that brings treasure hunters to a bad end. The Mummy Curse first enjoyed worldwide acclaim after the 1922 discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb in the Valley of the Kings near Luxor, Egypt. When Howard Carter opened a small hole to peer inside the tomb and treasures hidden for 3,000 years, he also unleashed a global passion for ancient Egypt. Tut's glittering treasures made great headlines, especially following the opening of the burial chamber on February 16, 1923, and so did sensationalistic accounts of the subsequent death of expedition sponsor Lord Carnarvon. Carnarvon? In reality, Carnarvon died of blood poisoning, and 6 of the 26 people present when the tomb was opened died within a decade. Carter, surely any curse's prime target, lived until 1939, almost 20 years after the tomb's opening. Birth of the curse. The late Egyptologist Dominic Montserrat conducted a comprehensive search and concluded that the concept began with a strange striptease in 19th century London. Apparently, the mummy's curse predates Carnarvon's Tutankhamun discovery and his death by 100 years. Montserrat told The Independent in an interview years before his own death that he believed a lively stage show in which real Egyptian mummies were unwrapped inspired first one writer and subsequently several others, including Little Women author Louisa May Alcott, who wrote a volume known as Lost in a Pyramid or The Mummy's Curse. He believes the concept of this curse, but more importantly, it reveals that it didn't originate in 1923 press publicity about the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb either. So where did it come from? The belief that if you touch ancient things, you will be cursed. Salima Ikram, an Egyptologist at the American University in Cairo and a National Geographic Society grantee, believes the curse concept did exist in ancient Egypt as part of a primitive security system. Basically, they were relying on people's superstition. And it goes something like this. She notes that some mastaba, or early non-pyramid tombs, walls in Giza and Saqqara were actually inscribed with curses. meant to terrify those who would desecrate or rob the royal resting place. They tend to threaten desecrators with divine retribution by the council of the gods, or death by crocodiles or lions or scorpions or snakes. Tomb toxin threat. In recent years, some have suggested that the Pharaoh's curse was biological in nature. Could sealed tombs house pathogens that can be dangerous and even deadly to those who open them after thousands of years, especially people like Lord Carnarvon with a weakened immune system? Probably. But let's be honest here. Let's go back to this idea of curses as a kind of, I don't know, ancient world security system. So, curse tablet. This is not a new idea, and this may very well be true. This was very real. They were known as, what was it? Tabella defictionis, or defixio, or catadesmos, is a small tablet with a curse written on it from the Greco-Roman world. The tablets were used to ask the gods, place spirits, or the deceased to perform an action on a person or object, or otherwise compel the subject of a curse. Curse tablets are typically very thin sheets of lead with the text scratched in tiny letters. They were then often rolled, folded, or pierced with nails, and tablets were then usually placed beneath the ground, either buried in graves or tombs, thrown to wells or pools, sequestered in underground sanctuaries, or nailed to the walls of temples. Tablets were also used for love spells, and when used in this manner, they were placed inside the home of the desired target. They were sometimes discovered along with small dolls or figurines, sometimes inaccurately referred to as voodoo dolls, which may also be pierced by nails. Oh my God. This is especially the case in love spells, which calls for hair from the head of the love target. Some love spells have even been discovered folded around some hair. Ooh, probably to bind the spell itself. Oh my goodness. The texts on cursed tablets are typically addressed to infernal or liminal gods such as Pluto, Charon, Hecate, and Persephone, sometimes via the mediation of a dead person, probably the corpse in whose grave the tablet was deposited. Some texts do not invoke the gods, however, but merely list the targets of the curse, the crimes or conditions upon which the curse is valid, and or the intended ill to befall them. Some tablets are inscribed with nothing more than the names of the targets, leading to the supposition that an oral spell may have accompanied the manufacture of the curse. Those at whose gravesides these were placed had usually died very young age or a violent manner, and the tablet was supposed to help lay their souls to rest in spite of their untimely death. Sometimes some of the curses are actually meaningless curse, such as Bazagra, Bescu, or Berebescu, seemingly in order to lend them a kind of supernatural efficacy. Many of those discovered at Athens refer to court cases or the curse the opposing litigant asking, may he, that he botch his performance in court, forget his words, become dizzy, and so forth. Others include erotic binding spells, spells ranged against thieves and business and sporting rivals. The curse tablets targeted at thieves or other criminals may have been more public, more acceptable. Some scholars even refuse to apply the word curse to such positive texts, referring expressions such as judicial prayers. In ancient Egypt, so-called execration texts appear around the time of the 12th dynasty. So going back to Egypt, listing the names of enemies written on clay figurines or pottery, which were then smashed and buried beneath a building under the construction so that they were symbolically smothered or in a cemetery. There were also what is known as voces mystica. I doubt I'm pronouncing that correctly, but these are words not immediately recognizable as belonging to any known language and are commonly associated with curse tablets. Okay, so going back to the idea of this being an ancient security system that has since gone on to become almost the stuff of legend. Curse tablets, I think these are brilliant ideas. Obviously, they were meant to stop idiots and thieves and criminals from desecrating grave sites. And as it's pointed out here with the Egyptian ones, some of them were actually buried in a way that if the tomb was destroyed, the tablets would be disturbed as well or smothered. And this is designed to perhaps indicate that the seal has been broken, the curse has been lifted and removed, and so now you're in trouble for stealing this shit. So it's not coincidence. Obviously, this makes for great mummy movies, movies of people stealing things they shouldn't steal, and then the consequences coming back to haunt them. It doesn't really take much, really, because let's be honest, your curses belong to the realm of psychology. If you're walking down the street and you stub your toe, you're going to be like, oh crap, I'm so clumsy. I should be paying attention. On the other hand, if someone a minute before you that happens tells you, I'm cursing you, I'm cursing you, I'm putting a curse on you for bad things to happen to you, and then you walk down the street and you stub your toe, you're probably going to think, oh my God, that person cursed me. So this woman who stole these ancient things from Pompeii where bad things happen. We've seen, these versions of these people desecrating the dead and stealing from the ancients, and then bad things happening to them. This is the entire premise of the Poltergeist movie, where a corrupt developer sold homes that were built on gravesite, and being too lazy, spoiler alert, failed to actually uproot and put the actual body somewhere else. So, needless to say, the dead exacted their revenge on the people living in that house, because how dare you build your house on top of my dead body? Oh, great. But yeah, I have little or no feelings about curses. I don't really believe in curses, although I do think the idea of them and curse tablets are brilliant, because obviously they're going to mess with people psychologically. And obviously, even in the 21st century, people are still superstitious. People still believe in curses, and they still believe that if you desecrate sacred sites or ancient sites, something will happen to you. In Japanese culture, they believe that objects that are more than 100 years old have developed a soul and can, in fact, respond to being disturbed. Basically, if you reach a certain age, you are deserving of respect. Once you bury the dead, you should respect that. If there's a site where something bad happens, you should respect that. Respect means don't steal from the dead. Capiche? Don't steal from the dead.